All right, the second question on our Unit 3 test, or sorry, Unit 3 test review, even though, again, it's very similar. It says the expression 6x cubed times y to the sixth power all cubed is equivalent to dot, 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 and you got to choose 1, 2, 3, or 4. This one, calculator's not going to help you. There's some tricks you can sort of do, but what you really got to do is you just got to just copy it down, and I like repeating it the 3 times. That's what I like to do when I see that exponent on the outside. So I'm going to move my paper up over this way and re-get this 6x cubed, 6x cubed, y to the sixth, all cubed. 6, where's my, there I am. 6x cubed, y to the sixth, all to the power of 3. And what we got to do is, I mean, there are tricks you can do with this cube out here, but I just like to say, let's just rewrite everything in the parentheses that many times. So I'll get 6x cubed, y to the sixth, and I'll just do that 2 more times. 6x cubed, y to the sixth, and 1 more time now, 6x cubed, y to the sixth. And then here I'm going to do 6 times 6 times 6. 6 times 6, those two come together to become 36. 36 times 6 is, I guess I could use a calculator, or I could look back at this and say, well, 36 times 6 is definitely not 18. It must be 216. And we can just double check it. 36 times 6, it is 216. So I'm between either 1 or 4. So I've got over here 216, because 6 times 6 times 6 is going to be 216. And then I'm just going to look. When I'm multiplying these variables, I look for the same base. And once I have the same base when I'm multiplying variables, I just add these exponents. 3 plus 3 plus 3, that'll become x to the ninth. And then 6 plus 6 plus 6, because when I multiply variables, I add those exponents. It will become y to the 18th. And that should be our answer. This should be review from Unit 1. Let's just check to make sure. It looks like it's going to be answer 4. And you can pause the video at this point and end if you've got that answer. But in case you're wondering why we're going to go ahead and actually add those things, let's just take a look at the fundamental idea of what's happening with these exponents. If I've got something like, let's do this example real quick. If I've got something like 5 plus 5, I know that that's equal to 10. And another way to write 10 is to take 5 and multiply it times 2. So I could say, well, 10 is really just 2 times 5. Now, if I try doing multiplication instead, if I said 5 times 5, well, I know 5 times 5 is 25, and another way to write that is to say, well, 5 squared is 25. And if that makes sense to you, well, that tells us the rule for why when we're multiplying variables with exponents, we add the exponents. Because here, I've got 5 times 5, that's like 5 to the first, times 5 to the first. I kept the base, added the exponent to get the 2 there. And so that's exactly why if I had something like x plus x, this becomes 2x. And for following the same rule that we did with the numbers here, if I have x times x, well, that becomes x to the second power. That's just a quick thing to show it. If that made sense to you, hopefully you remember that rule a little bit better. If not, sorry, there are other videos that explain it in a little more detail. Let's come out of this screen and end it.